Hello and welcome to the journey, the human experience to spiritual enlightenment. And today we have a very, very cool person here with us. We have Bob Lanzeri, who's going to be joining us and talking about our Kundalini experience. But today we're going to focus mostly on his Kundalini experience because every experience is different. For you that don't know me, my name is Betty Cody, and I also have
Sean Cody.
And we're here to basically navigate through all the spirituality, the different types of spirituality that exist, and just our journey as humans and what it has to offer. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. And I'll go ahead and turn this right over to Sean, if you have your first question for Bob.
Do I have my first question for Bob? I mean, I guess is what's the whole experience like? What did you gain from the experience, or what did it feel like from walking in the door? What did you expect?
So, what I can say is, upon walking into the door, I felt a very sedate and quiet energy that wasn't necessarily moving around so much as it was just stationary. And it was kind of like a mist on the floor. So I could see like a little bit of cloud cover on the floor, and it was this little mist that was floating around.
Did you see it with your eyes, or did you see it like in your mind's eye?
Both. I saw it, and I saw it physically with my eyes. I saw something look foggy kind of thing on close to the ground, and then in my mind's eye, I could see the actual sparks of energy running through the cloud, for what lack of a better term, what I called it.
So before we get into this new experience of the Kundalini, did you ever do Kundalini prior to this experience?
Okay, so go back in history. At this particular time, I'm 62 years old. I've been doing this since 12 years old, so basically 50 years, half a century. I've been through many different courses. I've been through many different, for lack of a better term, workshops and stuff. This one, I have to say, was one of the strongest ones that I've ever done. This one really opened up not only my mind, which is the first barrier to your subconscious, is your mind is you're allowing your mind to relax. I allowed my mind to relax. I allowed all of my feelings, frustrations, and stress just to kind of melt away from me, listening to the music and being able. One of the things that I liked about this particular thing and in my situation is that we were free to do whatever we wanted to do. So if you wanted to weave a spell, you could weave a spell. If you wanted to cast something, you could do it in a way that it was so peaceful and quiet and calm that you actually felt it working. And because I've been doing this for so long, and because I've had a lot of experience with it, I have a lot built up inside of me. So when I was sitting there and these things were flowing and these things were going by me, I was able to. Obviously, our eyes are closed, and it was not that hard to keep my eyes closed, which I was very surprised at that.
Yeah.
Because usually, to keep your eyes closed, your human nature is, I want to see what's going on.
Curiosity is getting you.
You want to take a peek to see what the guy next to you is doing.
Exactly.
Right.
And I know my wife, Lisa, was laying next to me, and I could feel her, but I couldn't see her because my eyes were closed. But I could feel the different people in the room as the energy levels started to build up, and as it started to, I guess, get close to a crescendo or whatever you want to say, I could feel it. But what I also felt was the different levels.
So you felt like an escalation of the mood, the feel, the connection that people were having around you, not just you.
It wasn't so much as an escalation as it was a rise. It was just like my senses and feelings were good. I was level, but everything around me was moving fast. Everything around me was going up. The energy was swirling. And then when you're on the ground and you're kind of in your own trance, and it's not like a charlatan thing, or it's not like fake. Like you really, like I was really in an awake trance, if that makes any sense to anybody. I was in a awake trance in the present moment, and I could feel everything that I was doing, and I could feel every spell I thought about, everything I thought, whatever I usually think every day and do every day, I felt it amplified 1,000 times over. And the peace that you feel, the peace that I felt from it, was just a calming relaxation and a detachment from the physical form, completely detached, we were talking before about, how long can you lay down? And it was supposedly like an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours.
Hour and a half. Yeah.
My right hip needs to be replaced, and the pain is excruciating every day. Yet I was able to lay there, and it felt like 15 minutes. I'm not going to lie to you. Even Lisa said to me, this is over already. It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was really an hour and 45 minutes. The pain was not the same. It was there, obviously, because it's going to be there, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't that intense burning that I have all the time.
In this class was our friends at the Inner Method. What did you feel about the instructors there? Esteban
and Herman.
I went up, okay, so at the end of the class, you get to talk about your experience with them. They ask, does anybody have anything to say?
Yeah, we form a circle and we all kind of share what we can,
Right.
or if you want to. They don't force you to.
No,
they ask if you want to.
And most people honestly didn't say anything. There was a woman, and as my experience, it was a woman laying in the middle of the floor who was a Hispanic lady she was translating everything for her when she was telling us about the class and the music and what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady spoke no English at all. And she translated everything. It was fine. Well, during the session, the sobbing and the crying that we heard from someone was amazing. I knew where it was coming from because I could feel it. She was next to my head, laying horizontally.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, horizontally. And I could feel her. I could literally feel her. I could feel her pain, and I could feel why she was crying. And then it popped into my head. A little girl was molested by a man, or it could have been even worse, but I just saw a man and a little girl, and I knew immediately why she was crying.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a sense of dread. There was no sense of
it's almost like you were removed.
Yeah, there was no sense of there was no oh my God,
like
I feel
you're just
sorry.
observing.
Right. It was an observe, but it was also, you know what? I'm helping you. Something was helping her. Something was helping her get through it. So the woman and the man that were doing this session, at the end, when we asked about, when they asked us about what your experience was, I said to them, I'm the oldest guy in the room. I've been doing this a long time. I said, well over a half a century now. I said, and I got to be honest with you, this was the most connected that I felt to a workshop, to an event, to anything you want to say. It was the most connected metaphysical event that I felt close to, and I felt that it was really seeping inside of me. I really did.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you went there, did you have an expectation of what you should feel based on your other experiences, or did you just kind of, what was it? Tell us about how
so the way I
getting there was.
The way I do these things, the way I get into this stuff is I prepare myself before I go to any event, and I prepare myself with no expectation of anything. I prepare myself with, it'll be good if you make it good, and it'll be crappy if you make it crappy. So which is it that you want? Well, I want to have a good experience when I go. Okay, so let's prep ourselves then for a good experience, which is breathing techniques, which is self-talk, which is a whole bunch of stuff, which is involving your spirit guides, which I have many, and each one of them checks in and, and gives me the okay that this is an okay thing to do, that you're not going to get hurt, there's nothing going to happen to you here, just enjoy yourself, and we're good, and we got you.
Mm-hmm.
So by them doing that, and I told the people when I was talking to them, I said, this is probably the best that I've ever been to in my time. Now, could be several reasons for that. It could be because I was ready to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
It could be because I needed that. Or it could be because that's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one. I don't know whichever one you want to pick, but whatever one, they're all good. They're all positive, and they all worked really well for me. I left there with a sense, I was very tired. I left there with a sense of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Accomplishment of what? What did I accomplish? I laid on the floor for almost 2 hours and just hummed and chanted and waved my hands.
Breathe.
And breathed and waved my hands around like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what accomplishments really could you get from that? I didn't dig a hole. I didn't fix a car. I didn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
The accomplishment was what I look for in life, which is a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling that you're on the right path, a feeling that you're doing the right thing. And that feeling comes from the energy that you get from an event like this.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with anybody else, and nobody else is in control of it. You're in control of it. And what you plan to get out of it is exactly what I planned to get out of it. And what I got out of it is exactly what I wanted. I got peace, I got clarity, And one of the things, and I told you guys this before, one of the things I heard is that the spell is released, the spell has been released, the spell has been released. And to this day, I still have an idea what it is, but I'm not 100% sure what it was. And the fun part about doing this stuff, and I know it sounds weird, the fun part about doing this stuff is figuring out what it means. Because it means something different to each and every one of us. Not one of us has the same experience. I don't gonna have the same experience as you, and you're not gonna have the same experience as me. We will have like experiences, and we will have things in there that are similar, but we each have a different need, and that need is what's filled. Mine, like everybody else's, and I'm not gonna lie, is about trauma. Is about things that happen to us, whether it's been in the near past, or the far past. Okay, it's all the same. It's trauma, and trauma builds fear, and fear builds indecision, and indecision builds a failure. That's what it builds. So by learning to recognize what you see, learning that you may not get all the answers right there. I've learned this a long time ago. I did not get all my answers that same day when I was sitting there. As the week progressed, and as the days progressed, and as the nights progressed, maybe I talked to somebody and they mentioned something, and boom, it sparked something for me.
Your
And I was like-
awareness, yeah.
It was like, wow. And so a little tuning fork went off in my head, and it went, that's it. You needed, that's what you got. That's what you needed to hear. That's what you got.
So let me ask you this: when you go in there and you said that you it's almost like you got confirmation from everything that you feel that is protecting you, right? So you went in there with the one thing that they tell you is give in, let go, surrender. And and I know that that's hard. It's hard because you don't know where this is going to take you. And when you did that and you went in there with that open mind, that open heart, that open soul, and you said, do what you got to do, right?
Right.
And it took you to that place where like that lady, it took her to her trauma. A lot of people do experience different things. So they can literally experience a euphoric feeling. Like, I guess it depends on the things that you have to work through sometimes to get to that euphoria. So maybe your experience this time may be a little different the next time, right?
Right.
When you let that go, and I know it's hard, how did you shut down the voices and the thinking and the everyday, like I got to do my laundry, I got to worry about, feed the cat. Like how do you, because that's something that a lot of people worry about. Like I can't shut down. How did you shut down?
The way I shut down the chatter is I confer with my spirit guides, all 5 solid ones that I have. I confer with them. I talk to them. I ask them, is this the right thing to do? What should I do? And by doing that, it calms me down because they're on a different plane. They're not here. So it's not chatter that I hear here. It's not words that I hear here. It's more of a telepathic. It's more of a mind drop. Like I told you before, I call it a mind drop. Things are dropped into my head and then I process them. And then I sit down and I say to myself, this is my time. And this is where people have a problem. This is my time. This is my time to settle down. This is my time to be me. This is my time to breathe and feel what I need to feel. And that's how I shut it down.
Did you feel a need to have to do that a lot through this class?
No.
Or was this class just
No.
floating?
I tell you the truth, I didn't do it at all. I just walked in, laid down, and everything was gone.
So that's something you do more in normal meditations, but didn't find a need to in this situation.
Not in this situation. It was almost on autopilot. It was go in there, do your thing, and that's it. But just the thing you said, one of the words that gets thrown around a lot, and I don't think people really understand the magnitude of it and the power of it, is that one word, surrender.
Yes.
When we, as people, surrender, whether it be to a higher power, to believe in them, to do what needs to do, when we surrender to our feelings and let us feel our feelings and let us feel what's going on inside of us, when we surrender to not being petty and combative and vindictive and vengeful, when we surrender to those things and actually don't do those things, for me, that's what elevates me. That's what rises. That's how I rise, for lack of a better term, above the smoke. That's how I do it.
It's like living in the purity.
So when you
Purity of spirit.
So when you surrender and give your full self up it's not easy. And not only is it not easy, it's scary as hell because you're literally turning your life over to something that you have no clue about.
I see you got very emotional
Well,
there. So
yeah.
it does move you. It moves you
It moves you because
it's real.
the magnitude of it and what it does. I've seen what it does. I've seen what true surrendering does in life. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. I'm not just trying to gurgle words out because it's important. In the surrendering of things, you actually free yourself from the burden of carrying it. You actually free yourself from the burden of having to hold on to it. You actually free yourself from having the burden of worrying about it. And when I went into that class and when I sat there and had already surrendered before, there was even more of a surrender, if it's possible. And I didn't think it was because I'm pretty surrendered out. I am. I don't think I have anything else to surrender to.
You thought you had hit your limit, right?
I'm about to hit my limit because I can't think. But there are other things. There are things that we don't think about every day. And going to a class like this and sitting there, for me, and listening to the music and realizing this is not music I normally listen to. I never would listen to this music, but man, it was great. And I would listen to it from now on. I would never lay on the floor for 2 hours for anybody and do this kind of stuff without knowing what I was going to do or where I was, kind of
A
going.
little apprehensive about
But I wasn't.
Yeah, but that was different.
I wasn't. 1 second didn't say to me, "Oh no, don't go. It's not a good thing. Don't go." Because
Yeah.
I've had that before too.
Yeah.
And when you go to something like this, for me, and you sit there and you get all this out of it, you almost wonder, what the hell is everybody else thinking about? Why isn't everybody doing this? And listen, for whatever you get out of it, like we said before, some people get more, some people get less. But until you surrender, and again, you pick whatever religion you want, I really don't care. I have mine, you all have, everybody has what they want. But when you allow your spirit, great spirit for me, when you allow the great spirit in to move you, you can't help but feel good. When we went out to the pathways the other day, to the autism center for the adults, right? That Kundalini came with me. That openness came with me. The feeling of accomplishment. And again, I didn't build a bridge, I didn't fix a fence, but there was a massive amount of accomplishment there. That accomplishment came with me in a sense of energy, in a sense of freeing that energy. And the reason I get so emotional is because I'm so full. I'm literally, I can't squeeze another ounce in here.
How long ago was it that you've done the activation? It was Sunday?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
It was
ago?
a week ago Sunday.
A week ago Sunday.
Well, wait, today's
And you're-
Sunday. A week ago
Yeah.
today.
A week ago today. So 7 days ago, and you're still feeling the effects of this.
Oh, I'll feel the effects of this for a long time because, and the understanding that I have is that it's not all happen. It doesn't all happen that day. It doesn't all happen that month. It doesn't all happen that week. Shit, a year from now, I could say to you that this is a draw from that, and I can separate out. For me personally, I can separate out the events for me of what moved me, what was not so much moved me, and what was like, holy crap, I'm 3 blocks up here now.
Right.
There's a difference when you understand the power of energy. Again, a word used ad nauseum is energy, okay? And yes, it's more than energy. It's so much more, but energy is a terminology that we understand. It's actually, it's raw cosmic fuel is what it ends up being, because we're all creatures of the universe. That's what we are.
Do you feel that we were vibrating in unison to the highest vibration, which is love, when you're going through this experience?
I don't know that I would put a label on it. I don't know that I would put love, or I'd put compassion, or I'd put empathy, or I'd put shock, or
Maybe like a middle ground between them all.
Yeah, I really think it's a mix of everything. I really do. I think it's love. I think it's empathy. I think it's non-fear. When you're fearless, you move. You move fast, and there was no fear going into that room.
Right.
I've been in places where I've walked in and said, no, I don't know if I should really be here because I don't feel a really good energy. It's very heavy here.
Yeah.
There was none of that. So when I walked in here, there was no fear. I was fearless. And when you're fearless, you can do so much more than when you're fearful. So when you're full of fear, you can't get anything done. When you have less fear, you can get a lot done.
There was something there that I just kind of want to, because we all did with the same people with the inner method. And something I want to share is I did feel from people, sometimes like when people touch you, you feel a little bit of their, or a lot of their essence, depending on how dialed in you are. One of the things that I felt from these people was I felt like they wanted me to feel better. I felt like they wanted me, like they wanted this as much as I did for me.
You're talking about the sense of wellness that they put out into the air. They put a sense of, when you're in a room like that and you can feel the different energies, eventually you're able to decipher the different vibrations, I guess, for lack of a better term. The feeling in the room, what they were telling us subconsciously in that room, and I heard it, what they were telling us subconsciously is, you're great. You're fantastic. You're amazing. Don't worry about anything. You got this. You'll take care of it. It's all in the bag. That's all I heard. You got this. It's easy. Slow down.
And they weren't talking. They were that was all being communicated by touch, by their desire for everybody in that room to reach that level of what they were trying to help you gain.
One of their goals there, and one of the things that they did there, that I don't know if everybody understood it. I did, but it was that what they did is they allowed you to be you. If you noticed in the beginning, she said, do whatever you want to do. You want to get up and dance. You want to wave your hands. You want to talk out loud. You want to speak the way, whatever language you speak.
You want to growl. You want to scream. You want to shout. You want to sing.
Exactly.
Do it all.
She said, do it all. And what happens
you.
when you do that is it releases the person's inhibitions to not want to do anything.
Yeah.
And it gives you the freedom to say,
it's a permission slip.
I'm safe here. I can do whatever I want. And you know what? Nobody's going to laugh at me. Nobody's going to make fun of me. You can cry hysterical and nobody's going to say, oh, what are you crying about? What's a big... No, It was all a safe zone. And that's what these guys build. They build a safe zone. They build a safe space for you to go to where you can be yourself in a spiritual sense. I'm not talking about physical. I'm talking about a spiritual sense. You can be yourself. So somebody like me who says I talk to spirit guides, most people think, you're crazy. You go to a place like this and they're welcoming it. They're like, who are you talking to? What's going on? Tell us, talk to us. Like, one of the ladies afterwards was like, I heard you saying something, what were you saying? And we were talking a little bit about it, because in sharing it, that's really what spirit wants. Spirit wants us to share it with each other so that we all know, or we're all witnesses that it's real. We're all witnesses that we're feeling this, and that this is actually what my building blocks are. So this for me was like chicken soup. This for me was like I had a cold and I ate some bunch of chicken soup.
And it made you feel better. So let's get right back before we end today to the sounds that we heard, the binary beats, and Sean can attest a little bit more to this because you've researched the binary beats that they've kind of used, or not necessarily what they use particularly, but how it influences your meditation.
Yeah. Did you feel that with the music? Did you feel like hypnotic beats or binary beats?
And I heard a lot of subconscious stuff in there too.
Did you feel like it was helping you to induce a meditative state, or was it guiding you somewhere?
Because it was loud.
It was loud, but it was but it wasn't offensive.
No.
It was loud, but it wasn't that please lower that music. It's loud, but you know what? It sounds really good.
They were basically working, I believe, in a 92
decibels is what they were playing
decibels to induce, this stage of
when they were
meditation.
When they were doing the music, I could feel every change when it changed from one, I don't know what you call it, one bar to the next, or one beat to the next, or whatever. I could. Okay, we're in another song. But I could also hear in those songs those words.
And the feelings were attached.
I could hear the subliminal. Too. I could hear the subliminal stuff in there. That was, you're good, you're great, you're fantastic, you'll be better. Don't worry, it'll be okay. All that stuff. Which, again, when you're in a trance-like state, like we are, or I was, I heard every single word of it.
Did you feel like that deepened it though, or was that just like a bonus feature?
Did it deepen it?
So did that help you go
Yeah.
into a meditative
Like to
state?
stay
Did
more
that help
focused.
you
Yeah,
into a
it-
trance? Did it feel like it guided you anywhere?
You know what it did? When my mind started to wander a little, it gave me a place to
Bring
come
it
back
back.
to.
Can
Yeah.
bringing it back?
Gave me a place to come back to because
You
my
can't
mind.
have two thoughts at the same time.
Well,
so.
you can. You can, but the thing is that
It
it's
gets
like
a little crazy.
my mind was going into a deeper and deeper spiritual place, maybe a little bit place, maybe that was just a little bit too much, maybe I don't know. So the music drew me back a little bit and put me on a level position. Let's say instead of being tilted to right or left, and I was kind of like trying to level off and balance. I think it more kept me on a plane, on an even, like brought me back to an even plane.
Yeah. So,
So 9 out of 10, and would you go back?
yes.
15, and I would go back again.
And would you recommend it to somebody who's brand new to wanting to experience something? Or do you?
I took my wife Lisa to it, and that was her first one she's ever been to, and she got a lot out of it for what she needed to get out of it. Because you got to remember, you go to these things with these great expectations of all kinds of this is going to happen, and you know what?
Yeah.
It doesn't, because what happens is exactly what's supposed to happen for me. Exactly what's supposed to happen for you. It doesn't matter about anybody
Well, I
else.
think that's the most interesting part about it, because everybody we've talked to about it, the one thing they can agree on is the only experience that was the same for each of us was that we witnessed everybody have a unique experience. It was an awareness of a completely unique experience by everybody. And quite personally, I think that was an amazing piece of it.
Yes. And you did hit on something that they said about the experience being not the same for everybody. But when you do surrender to it, your body is only going to take what it can handle. So if your level of what you could handle at that moment was a certain thing, then that's what spirit, the whole thing was going to give you was what your body can handle.
One of the things, real quick, one of the things that I got and I heard, and it gave me tremendous joy and exhilaration, was that more people are understanding it, more people are getting it, and more people are willing, if nothing else, are just willing to try to understand that there's more than what we more than what we've been told. And these guys did it in a way that was non-threatening, that was comfortable, that was extremely affordable, that was extreme, like there was nothing that I could say. If you say to me, tell me one thing that they could do better.
Right. Tell me
And
something.
I couldn't tell you anything. What I could tell you is maybe to have more around the area, or have more locally, or
Show up more often.
Yeah.
Show up more often.
We
You-
wanna go.
You moved me. Now keep coming back.
exactly
buddy.
show up more often. If not, then give to us other people that do, so that we can do this. Like I said, I've been doing this for 50 years by myself, literally by myself. I've been traveling for 50 years by myself doing this, and to see so many other people getting involved, it's finally, for me, it's like, wow, I'm glad that
It's like,
time.
where have you been all my life?
pretty much.
It was an amazing thing. And, they are on Eventbrite. That's about the only place I have found
Yes.
them. They are out of Miami, and they are called the Inner Method.
Yes.
They do have an online course that they do, and then they do Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota, and Naples, and of course Miami. They do 5 or 6 places over there. But yeah, we would encourage everybody to go check them out.
And we are going to
as you
have
heard
them
from
here.
Bob, he had a very moving experience, and Betty and I will probably share ours soon as well. And
Yeah.
I think we'll see some similar things.
Yeah, so stay tuned because we do have them coming up soon. We are making arrangements to have them do a Zoom with us and
Yeah.
talk more about the actual methods. What is Kundalini? Kind of like the process of what they do. Because right now we're basically revealing our side of it, the receiving
Student
and
side.
the experience of it. Well, we want to know what the person given the experience is going through and what it is that they believe and why and how they do it to help people. So I think it was going to be a really interesting conversation. So stay tuned for that. If you like this series and more to come, we are exploring everything when it comes to spirituality, connection, the higher power, everything that has to do with moving your soul, your mind, the way that you function, the way that you see life. So stay tuned for us for all these amazing things that are going to be coming forward. So keep checking us out. Anything else before we go, Bob?
I just want to say a big thank you to Bob Lanzeri for sharing with us. That was an amazing ride of your experience.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that's what happens.
We love it.
See you guys next time.
Surrender.
Surrender. That's the good word for the day.
The word of the day, surrender.
Surrender.